Welcome to Book Huddle. I'm your host, Karen Reader with Readgab. Today we have Philippa Leathley, and she's joining us from the UK to talk about her astounding debut that I just devoured it. I loved the arc, and I am so excited that you are joining us today, Philippa. So will you please take a minute and introduce yourself? Tell us a little bit about you first, in addition to being an author.
Yeah. Oh, thank you so much. So I'm Philippa. I'm from the UK. I'm specifically from the North, and I'm a writer. Before that, I worked in retail, which I didn't like very much, and I worked in a library, which I loved. Um, but writing was the thing, always the thing I wanted to do, and it's become this massive kind of dream come true this year. Yeah, so that's a bit about me.
Excellent, excellent. So give us a little bit for those who are listening who have never heard of Meticulous Jones and the Skull Tattoo. Give us the elevator pitch. What is it about?
Okay, so Inkbound, it's all about fantastical flying cities that are powered by ink. And in this world, every child gets a magical tattoo on their 10th birthday that predicts something about their future. So it could be their job or their personality or a dramatic event that might happen to them. And my main character, Metty, is horrified when she gets a skull and a glove, which predicts that she might murder somebody with magic. And the book is all about her trying to find a way to make sure that never happens and change her fate.
I love it. I love that the magic system is based on ink. For those of us that love writing, like how powerful and exciting that, ink flows through the cities and people charge their magic with ink. And there's different kinds and pure ink and more, you want this ink to use for the best. I think that was such a fun, creative way. Can you tell us about creating like
Absolutely.
this world? How did these ideas come to you?
So that's it's actually really funny. Ink came very late. So
Okay.
I actually sold the book to my publishers without ink being the magic system,
Oh,
which
wow.
seems so crazy
Yes, because
at
it's
this
such an
point. It's
integral
the
part.
center, it's called Inkbound. It's really weird. So that was something that my editors had kind of suggested. I'm sure it came from them, can we weave ink into the story? And then I went away and I thought about it, and I thought about like this giant heart in the middle of the city and the ink river, and it grew outwards from there. And we'd obviously started with the tattoos, and I
Yes.
think that's why they thought ink.
Right, right. Excellent.
Yeah, but it was all just trying to find a good title. I think if we hadn't decided we liked the title so much, there wouldn't be ink in the story, which, yeah,
I
is just really weird
I
to
love that phrase too, ink bound. Are you bound to your
yeah.
fate? Is that determining your destiny? And so let's talk about this as a theme. So everybody, it's like law, right? You have to get tattooed. What side of the hand is it
Yeah,
on? Is it
it's
on?
on the back of the hand.
Okay, so it's
Yeah,
easier to see,
under
right?
the knuckles.
It's
Yeah.
not on the palm. So people are going to see it as you're walking around.
Mhm.
And it's like a law. You've got to do it, but you've got to do it at a certain age to get faded.
Yeah.
Is that the term that they use? You get faded
Yes.
with
Yeah,
getting
that's it.
this tattoo on. And of course, just like there's better ink, there's better places to get faded.
Mhm.
So tell us about creating this as a theme.
Yeah. Okay. So the fate tattoos, again, like the ink, it came really late,
Okay.
which I find strange. So I had all the other bits of the story had kind of come together, the Joneses and the setting, and I was trying to get the story going, and it just wasn't working. And I got a shower, and in the shower where you have the best ideas, it
Yes,
just
when you
popped
don't have a
in my
pen and
head.
ink.
And you're just like, yeah, I always have good ideas in the shower, honestly.
Yes.
But this idea for these tattoos just popped into my head. And I was like,
Right.
well, what if they told the future? And I went away and I thought about it, and I thought, what if it was bad? What if you found out you were going to do something terrible, and how would you cope with that? And in the UK, I don't know if this is a thing in the States, but there used to be this school system called the 11 plus. And it's when kids were kind of segregated at a really young age, and the smart kids would be kind of funneled into academic subjects, and
Okay.
the less smart kids, air quotes for anyone that can't see, they were put into vocational subjects. And it's something, I think it still does go on a little bit, but it's
Right.
something that a lot of us really don't like and disapprove of because, at 11 years old, some people are
Right.
just slower to mature,
Right.
take a while, it's really
Well,
damaging.
and like Howard Gardner's multiple intelligences, we all learn differently, right? And we
Yes.
have our
Yeah.
strengths and what to bring. And there's different ways to assess a person and understand, do they really understand it by
Yes.
if we test them differently.
Yeah, exactly. So it's a very stupid system, but I found it really fascinating because my parents are of the age that they were put through this
Okay.
system. Um, and I have my mum who's very academic and my dad who's not. So
Okay.
I both parents kind of go in different directions.
Nice.
And yeah, it was that kind of inspired me. I thought that's why the age is low. That's why I thought age 10. It's
Right.
really it's a ridiculous age to try
Yeah.
and predict someone's future. So that's kind of why I chose it. I was inspired
Yeah. Yeah. You
by
wanted to
like,
grab onto that and show that that's
yeah.
too young to choose what you're going to be.
Mm.
Yes.
Yeah, definitely. And especially in terms of your personality.
Right. Because
We
that is
develop
developing
so
right then.
much. Yeah.
So many things are affecting it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I love that. And I love that in the book, they're like, there's this expectation that you must be this way. But even in their dictionaries of different tattoos, it they mean different things, right? And so it's funny
Yeah.
to me how much they're like, yes, you've got to be this because of your tattoo. But it's like, why though? Because there's obviously multiple interpretations of one tattoo. So
Yeah.
it's interesting that the society becomes that way.
I really love the idea of thinking of them like horoscopes.
Yes.
And something I've discovered when I did my book launch, I made lots of tiny little envelopes with fates inside them. And
Yes.
everybody that came got one, and they were all different.
That's so
And
fun.
it was super fun. But what was really interesting was that almost everybody thought that their fate matched them. People really adapted them to themselves, which is like horoscopes.
Yes. Yes. And I
And
love that you could do that as a teacher or a librarian, that is
yeah,
such a beautiful way to introduce the book. And then if they think, well, this means this, no, you take this, what is here, and write it to be you and you write a story about what you want it to
yeah,
be. Interpret it the way you want it to be interpreted.
exactly. And definitely I was exploring the dangers of pigeonholing anybody, but especially children.
Right, right,
It's something I feel like we see all the time. Kids being told, well, you're not good at this. And, you
right.
know, I'm a big advocate for give people time, let people
Yeah.
kind of go at their own speed and get where they need to go when they're ready. So,
Well,
yeah.
that's beautiful. I love the dad captain. So
Oh,
he is well, at first I thought he was especially because they introduce it on the train, and so I thought, oh, is he kind of, almost ignoring her and stuff, but then getting to know his personality. And I was like, oh, I love Captain. And he calls, excuse me, Metty calls him Captain and calls her mom by her first name, Daphne. But
yeah.
I love that he discovers this and then he makes it his life work to help her. And some of the decisions maybe aren't the best, but you
Yeah.
see Captain making efforts of with what I understand here, how can I help my daughter? And I think that's a great thing for children and people to see is we're making our best efforts to help each other and let's have compassion on that, but let's also learn from Captain and say sometimes what you think is best is not best.
Yeah, definitely. He's a lovely character. I really like him. Yeah, that's such a good point about him kind of taking his fate and deciding what it meant and then trying to teach that to Metty,
Yes, because
but
he's so
struggling.
his name being Captain. What is it? It is ship on his tattoo?
Yeah, so his is a ship which predicted going into the Navy. So
Yeah,
that's what he did, but was not super happy. Uh,
right. And then
yeah.
he's such an example to her, just being like, well, does this really need to mean this? And then do they believe it's bad luck if you don't follow your fate or that you have a curse? It's something that happens if they think that you're not following it the way you're supposed to, right?
Yeah, it's kind of like it's this nebulous idea. It's just this idea of like something bad will happen to you, yeah, it's superstitious. The whole society
Yes.
is extremely
Yes.
superstitious, which, as somebody who is very superstitious myself, was kind of fun but stressful to explore. I kind of created this hellish society that I would hate to live in. Love the world, don't like the
Yes.
society too much.
Great. Well, and isn't that so much what we need to do, right? Love where we are, love life, find joy in the journey, and
Yeah,
then take what you don't like about it, what is not good about it, and what can you change in our own lives to say, no, this isn't right. Just like, with the tattoos, this isn't working for me. How am I going to change it? So I'd love to hear, I think this is fun because your characters, right, they become like real people to you.
hmm
You're reading them, they definitely do. And so as I've talked to writers and they're like, well, you have to listen to what the characters are saying and doing because they really become like real people. So could you pick however many you want, two, three, four of them, and tell us some advice that they would give a youth if the youth was wondering, how can I have courage to be myself?
yeah, it's such a fun idea. So, seeing as we've been talking about him, I'll start
Yeah.
with the captain.
Okay. Okay.
He's kind of an easy one because his would just be very straightforward and kind, and he would just say, oh, what would he say? He would say probably fairly simply, you've got to be true to yourself.
Right.
Don't do yourself the disservice of not being true to yourself.
Right.
Yeah, I'm trying to think what other people would say.
Okay, what about
Um,
let's take the opposite, the complete opposite. Let's take either Daphne or maybe our villain of
oh, good idea. I'll do Daphne because that's quite fun.
yeah,
Because she's
she really is
very
kind of a fun
different.
character. She almost
I
seems,
love her.
just flighty but well-intentioned.
Yeah, that's definitely it's so interesting. Actually, before I do that, I want to ask you a question.
Yes.
Do you see mild spoilers? Do you see her as a villain?
I see her as trying to do what she thinks is best with the knowledge that she has. So I think she could be perceived as a villain because just because we're trying to do our best doesn't mean we shouldn't know better. But I see her as a well-intentioned individual that you can feel compassion for. Like some villains are so straight up, right? That it's
Yeah.
like, no, how could you do that? That is so awful. There is a villain in your book that you look at and you're like, you're bad, bad
Yeah,
person.
you're a mustache twirler. Yeah.
Yes, right? Yes. So there, but I feel like Daphne is somebody who I can feel compassion for, and that maybe she's misguided,
That's lovely to hear. It's so interesting because that really splits people.
right?
Some people, so my mother, who's always my first reader, she insisted for a long time that Daphne was not a villain.
Right.
She really didn't want to see her as a villain. So I always find that interesting.
She's
But
the mother, yes, right? How could
yeah,
mom of the main character? I like that. That your mom is
yeah.
like, no, the mom would
No,
not
of
do
course the
that.
mum's not the villain. Yeah. She
Yeah,
has actually, she
not
said to
like
me,
stepmother
yeah,
Cinderella thing going on here.
exactly. My mum said to me really recently, you better not make the next mother the villain. She was like, no more mothers. They've all got to be good now.
Yes, a very loving, did the right
Yeah,
thing for the right reasons.
exactly. It made me laugh. Back to your question, if someone said to Daphne, oh, how would I find the courage to be true to myself? I think Daphne would say, well, be yourself on the inside,
Right.
but on the outside, be whatever you need to be. Don't be
What you
afraid to be what
need to be.
people want to see. That's what I think she would say.
Oh, yes, I can totally see that. Like, because she does. What do people want of me?
Exactly. And that's how you can kind of manipulate people and get where you need to go.
Right?
I think that's how she would see it.
Ooh. I wonder, okay, what about if you were to say Metty, tell us what
Mhm.
either at, and we don't have to say spoilers, but give us her advice, but tell me, is the advice coming from the beginning or the end of the book, Metty?
Oh, at the
Because that would be
beginning,
different, right?
it would be different. At the beginning, if somebody said to Metty, oh, how would I find the courage to be true to myself? I think she would not know what to say at the beginning. I think she'd say, I don't know, you tell me.
Right?
Help me figure it
I need to
out.
know that. I don't know what to do with this. tattoo on my head.
Exactly. I think she
I'm
genuinely
a
wouldn't get
murderer.
away. Yeah. Whereas I think by the end of it, she would say, just follow your path, listen to the people. I think that's, yeah, I think she would say, listen to the people around you,
Right.
trust the ones you love. They'll steer you in the right direction. I think that would be her advice by the end of the book. I think that's what she's learned through the book.
Beautiful.
Um, yeah, it's
All
a
right.
great idea.
Yes.
I love
Okay.
it, getting the characters to give their thoughts on things.
Okay. Should we do one more?
Okay.
Maybe Sundar or Mag or Rupert. What do you think?
Let me think.
Sunda.
Sunda.
Is it how you say it? Sunda, Mag, Rupert, who else? Or
Oh,
Faith.
Faith might be fun. I'll think of Faith. So if someone said to Faith, how would I have the courage to be true to myself? She would say, well, just do it.
Just do it.
Why
Just
wouldn't you? Like, why wouldn't you be yourself?
right. It should
Yeah,
be
she'd be
peaceful,
very,
right?
yeah, she'd be very kind of like, what are you talking about? Why would you be any other way? Don't care what people think. Don't care what
Yes.
anybody thinks. It doesn't matter.
Right.
Yeah, I love that character.
That's beautiful. That is so, so fun. What did you learn writing these characters? Are there any lessons that they taught you?
Oh, I definitely think so. I learned a lot. It's so funny when after I'd written it, and I've been asked a lot, well, why did you write about these themes and pick these themes? And it makes you reflect.
Right.
And I really figured out that I was kind of exercising a lot of demons, I think, in this book and working through some of my own feelings about how I'd ended up losing opportunities and so I left school really young
Okay.
because of things that were going on in my life. So I didn't go to university. I left school at 16
Okay.
without many qualifications, and I felt like a big failure for a
Gosh.
long time. I was in kind of a bad place, probably till like my mid-20s. I really did struggle.
Okay.
And I think that's where this whole thing about being told, oh, you're a bad person, you're going to have a bad life.
Right.
I think it
If you
was
didn't finish
definitely
school, what hope is there for you? Right. Oh, that's,
exactly
yeah.
that. Yeah, which obviously is nonsense, and it
Right.
all worked out fine
Right. But
eventually.
it's easy to say it hindsight, right? To your
Yeah.
self hindsight.
Yeah, and I came out of school. I thought I was stupid. I thought I was just this massive loser, and it took a long time to get over that and start to build up confidence again in myself. And I think even though I'd already gone on that journey before I wrote the book, I think writing it really helped me see like, oh, I was really quite damaged by this. It really did psychologically impact me a bit. And I'm so it's nice to look at it from a distance and be like, well, but I'm better now. I'm in such a good place now compared to that. But yeah, that's kind of it did take me on a bit of a journey with that, I think.
That is beautiful. I love that you as the author have taken this and grown from it and learned so much because that's what I would hope for the readers as well, that they would see, because it's pretty clear, the message that fate is not chosen for you and you
Yeah.
should, take it, by the horns or whatever, if you will.
And it's not even just fate, it's I would say even more so, it's other people don't get to tell you who you
Yes.
are. It's the society, nobody gets to tell you that you're stupid, that you
Right.
can't do things, that
Right.
they don't get to tell you what your job will be. It's that message. And
You choose your own path.
yeah, you
You
choose your own destiny. And when I go to school to do school talks, I kind of look over all the kids and they're amazing. I love children so much, and there's bright faces. And I look at them and I think, which of you would be me? Which of you will grow up and not get to have the life that you thought you were going to have? And I'm like, my book is for those kids.
Yes.
It's for everybody, but I'm thinking of those
Right.
kids when,
Yes.
when I do that.
And it's not too late. It's not too late at age 10. It's
Never
not
too
too
late.
late at age 25. It's not too late at age 55. It's time to take and do the choices. Going on right now, I don't know if you've heard of Middle Grade March, but it's
No.
to encourage, it's just these fun girls on YouTube that have started this reading challenge where they encourage everybody, adults, to read middle grade books because of just how much we can get from it, and then also the connections that can come by bridging that for the kids who are reading middle grade. And
Yeah.
so I think of that too, the adults reading middle grade right now, and what can you do with it? It's not too late for you.
Absolutely. I think I wish adults read middle grade more because I think there's so many life lessons in children's books and they're packaged in such an accessible way and they're hopeful and
Yeah.
fun more than adult books, I think. I love reading children's books.
Right? Even when, because some of them have heavy contents. And actually, somebody
Mm.
recently asked me on my channel, can you make a video about books that are not so heavy and serious? And it was funny that I was like, that doesn't have serious stuff, because a lot of them have heavy content, but they all have hope, in the end, at the end of the day, there has to be hope. And I
Exactly.
love
It's the
that. I love
balance.
so that perfect transition. I love to ask all of our authors, what is a favorite children's book that you have, that whether it was when you were younger or older, that you have just loved, that you could tell us about?
Okay, so I had to think so hard about this
Because you
because
thought of
there's
20,
so many.
right?
There's so many. I was thinking about stuff that's also out in the US, not just in the UK. So I grabbed this off my bookcase. It'll be backwards on there, but it is The Polar Bear Explorers Club by Alex Bell, which
Ooh.
I believe is out in the US too.
Okay, okay. So tell
It's
me about it, because I think I've heard it mentioned, but I don't know what it's about.
Yeah, so it's about 10 years old now, I think.
Okay.
And it's about this group of explorers. It's in a magical world. And you've got these different explorer clubs, and it's kind of a Victorian setting, but it's wildly imaginative. I love the imagination of this author, and she's written so many books and adult books as well. And it's just the most gorgeous, fun, funny read. I mean, you've got these stuff like mad cabbages that come up through the snow and try to eat the main character. It's hilarious. It's totally
Right.
wacky. I love it. And full of heart. Just what we're talking about, in middle grade. It's got little bits of darkness, but so much light and loving characters. This morning I finished the third book in the series, which is why I picked it. Because I was
Yay.
like, I just kind of finished this original trilogy, and then there's another trilogy set in the same world. But yeah, that's my choice because brilliant. So that's The Polar Bear Explorers Club by Alex Bell.
Alex Bell. All right. I
Yes.
fantasy is my favorite too. So it
Oh,
sounds
me
like
too.
it's got a lot of that going on with.
Yeah, big fantasy books. Yeah.
So wonderful. Okay, can you tell us what's next? Because Inkbound's a series, right? Meticulous
Yeah.
Jones is not ending with the
Nope.
tell us
No. So
what's coming.
next there'll be a book two, which I think, as far as I know, is coming out around this time next year, or
Perfect.
maybe January, February next year, which I'm so excited about. And then hopefully, depending on how things go, maybe there'll be more down the line. But for now, there's definitely the two, one and two. So
That's got to be hard to write it with the potential to be two-book series or
yeah.
three, four, five. So,
Exactly. Yeah, it is. And I've written book two because it's nearly finished with editing now, but I've written it in a way that it does conclude satisfyingly.
right,
So if it ends there, it's not going to annoy anybody. No
right.
major cliffhangers, but still open enough for us to go forward if I can.
Okay, and if you can't, do you have other ideas of what will?
Yeah, lots. I'm a bit prolific.
Okay,
Um, so yeah, lots and lots. I'm hoping at some point to kind of move to other age groups as well. Children's will always be like my first love, and
yes.
I'll want to write it forever. But I think it'd be fun to have a go at writing some adult stuff and maybe YA as well, or even younger children's, picture books and things. Yeah.
Fun. Try the variety, right?
Exactly, try everything. And I feel like each age group offers different challenges and
Yes.
rewards when you write for them.
Well,
Um,
because you, Philippa, have learned that you are not bound by one.
exactly.
And so lovely to have so many dreams and ambitions out there, right? And that we would hope
Yeah.
for the readers as well. Well, thank you so much. It's been a joy talking to you, and I'm excited to read the next in Inkbound. Can't wait for it.
Oh, thank you so much. Yeah. Lovely to chat.
And we'll have in the description how people can find you and Inkbound with your website and everything.
Oh, brilliant. Thank you.
I hope that you enjoyed hearing about Inkbound. If you enjoy my podcast, Book Huddle, I would love for you to take a minute and rate and review it on your podcast platform. That will help more people find Book Huddle. Now go have a fantastic week reading some amazing books.